Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. My name is Dr. Nicola Ducharme, and I'm really excited to bring some of this information to you tonight and just have a little bit more of a conversation about Nrf2 activation, Nrf1 activation, and everything that can do for your health and for your family's health. So before I dive into that, I would just like to give you a little brief introduction for those of you that may not know me already. Like I said, my name, excuse me, is Dr. Nicola Ducharme. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I have a private practice in San Diego. And I work primarily with chronic health issues, Lyme disease, autism spectrum disorders, things of that nature. And so I've been in practice here for about 15 years. And in the last, I would say, getting closer to a year now, I have been exploring this phenomenon called Nrf2 activation. And it's really has been so tremendous, and the discoveries I continue to make day by day are really fantastic. So what I wanted to do tonight is just, in a very succinct way, give you an overview of the science of how Nrf1 and Nrf2 activation work. And then we will open up to any questions. And this is being recorded. I know some people wanted to be on tonight. So maybe just pop in the chat, Jenny or Lisa, if you could just pop in the chat that you can see me and hear me, and that way I know that all my techie stuff is good. And then we will get right into the information. So I'm going to keep this to like 10, 15 minutes. I want to keep it really succinct. I could talk about things like this all night, but I will try not to for your benefit. But I do want to give you a summary. So jumping right on in. So Nrf2 activation. Most of us would say, what the heck is Nrf2 activation? And I'll be quite honest with you. I said that myself when I first was hearing about it. It's not something that we're used to hearing about, even in more integrative medicine, integrative health circles, but that is changing. And mark my words, we'll be hearing much more about it in the not too far future. So Nrf2 are protein synthesis pathways within the cell. And the Nrf2 pathways regulate a bunch of different genes. So we all know that we have all these sort of genes, these chromosomes, our genetic material. And the way those genes are actually expressed and the way they actually create proteins and create tissues and cells in our body can be influenced. And we're learning a lot more about that. This whole field of epigenetics, it's like beyond genetics, beyond just the DNA. What happens outside of the DNA? We're not all just, slaves to our DNA. If we want to change the way our genes are expressed, we can. And we're learning more about that now, and it's a fascinating field. So with using Nrf2 activation, we can actually help our genes to be expressed in more healthy ways. So what does that mean? What's the upshot? Well, the bottom line in the Nrf2 activation is we get a dramatic reduction in oxidative stress. Okay, so it upregulates our cells' ability to counter oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, also known as free radical damage, is very damaging to the cells. I mean, ultimately, that's what's causing aging. That's what causes our cell death, is the oxidative stress that comes along. And part of oxidative stress is a natural part of metabolism. It just goes with the territory. If you're walking and living and breathing, you're creating free radicals in the body through your natural metabolism. And that's, we have mechanisms to deal with that and other ways that we can help it. The problem is especially in our sort of developing world, the amount of toxins we're exposed to, the amount of pollution, the chemicals, the stressors of chronic infection, all these different things accelerate oxidative stress. And so then we get behind the 8 ball and our bodies just can't keep up with repairing the damage. So oxidative stress is linked with a ton of different health conditions. And I know I've had some conversations with some of you in the last week or so about kids on the autism spectrum, ADD, ADHD, developmental delay. And if any of you are listening who are parents and wondering if this can help your child, you might think, well, oxidative stress, and I've got a kid, with developmental delays. I don't get it. I don't see the connection. But suffice it to say, and just trust me with this, and you can look at the medical research to back this up, oxidative stress does have a huge bearing on our children's neurological development. So one of the primary things with Nrf2 activation is the dramatic reduction in oxidative stress, the reduction in damage to our cells, and with that comes a reduction in inflammation. And that includes neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain, which is what's happening in our kids that are struggling with, neurological issues, developmental delays, things like that. So we want to be able to reduce inflammation as much as possible. The other thing that's so fantastic about the Nrf2 is it boosts natural glutathione production. And I've always been a huge fan of glutathione, and I have supplemented with a lot of my patients with glutathione. But this actually is triggering our own cells to produce more glutathione on their own. Now, glutathione is one of our key antioxidants. It's very important for brain health. It's a natural heavy metal chelator, so it helps to cleanse toxic metals from the system. But it's also a key component in liver detox. So in part of our liver detoxification, we have different chemical pathways. One's a phase 1 pathway, one's a phase 2 pathway. They're just different ways the body prepares toxins to be eliminated. And it's just, it's the miraculous design of our bodies that we are able to do that. So with increasing glutathione, we're also helping the liver to detoxify. But the Nrf2 activator also helps, like I said, regulate the gene expression. And some of those genes relate to detoxification. So we're boosting glutathione to help the liver detoxify, but we're also upregulating the genes in our cells that are responsible for detoxification. And so that's a huge piece of it too. Certainly in my population, I work with a lot of autism spectrum, chronic Lyme, mold toxicity, and mycotoxin illness. And toxicity is a massive part of all of those conditions and a lot of chronic health conditions. So again, bottom line, we're reducing oxidative stress, we're boosting glutathione, we're boosting detoxification, and then we're helping to regulate some of the gene mutations that can influence many different elements of our health. So we're influencing methylation, for example. And what I love about this approach is we're not just supplementing the body. We're not just putting sort of, external substances into the body and topping up levels. The Nrf2 activator and the Nrf1 activator, which I'll get to in a minute, literally switches on our cells. It activates our cells so that they upregulate their own function, and it gets all of our cells functioning better. So it's really, really exciting. And all of this is just one pill. Generally, most people will take one pill per day, one tablet per day. Children will often take half a tablet per day. So we're not talking about huge regimens here. We're just talking about being succinct, to the point, cost-effective, natural, in tune with the body, and really helping our body to be able to do more of the good stuff by itself. So then let's talk a little bit about the Nrf1 activation, or the Nrf1 synergizer. So the Nrf2 synergizer is a blend of 5 different herbs. They're in very, very specific ratios, and they're designed to work synergistically. And so the Nrf1 activator is more a micronutrient blend. And the point of the Nrf1 is to repair the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria are the little engines in your cells that produce ATP. ATP is energy. It's like saying we have money, but the currency is dollars. How many dollars do you have? And then we can sort of broadly describe it as money. It's the same for us. We can broadly describe it as energy, but the currency is units of ATP. And if one doesn't have enough ATP, that will certainly lead to a feeling of fatigue. I mean, a lot of chronic fatigue has roots in mitochondrial problems. But bigger than that, ATP is the fuel that drives all our metabolic processes. and all our biochemical pathways. Without ATP, the wheels just don't turn. And so what we find is this blend of Nrf1 and Nrf2 activation and how beautifully they work together. The Nrf2 is helping the cells take out the trash, right? Getting the toxins and the junk out of the cells. But that requires energy. The Nrf1 provides the upregulation in energy to fuel the Nrf2. Okay, and by the same token, when you accelerate Nrf1 and mitochondrial production, that naturally increases free radicals, and so the Nrf2 then balances out the free radicals. So they work tangentially together. They're very, very synergistic in the way they work together. So the Nrf2 Synergizer is a tablet. Average dose is 1 per day. I've had some really, really unwell people who took more than 1 a day for a period of time, but generally speaking, we're talking about 1 tablet a day. The Nrf1 Synergizer comes in capsules, and adult dose for that is 2 a day. So often for children, we'll just do 1 a day. In kids, the tablet can be ground up and mixed in almond butter or applesauce or something else that they would enjoy. And the Nrf1 capsule can be opened and emptied and mixed the same way. So they're the sort of the real, like the flagship, the Nrf1 and the Nrf2 together. A couple of other things I want to just mention, because I talk about Axio a lot. And Axio is one of my very favorite things in the whole world. As a busy working mom, I rely on my Axio and I swear by it. But Axio could be described a couple of different ways. It could be described as an energy drink. A lot of people with very demanding physical jobs, firefighters, police officers, athletes love Axio because it gives sustained energy throughout the day without the big sort of spikes and crashes of caffeine. But more importantly to me, it has brain-targeted nutrients. So we call Axio Nrf2 for the brain. And Axio does come in 2 forms, caffeinated or decaffeinated. So people can choose. I personally do the decaffeinated one because I'm quite caffeine sensitive and still get tons and tons of benefit from it. So it's not like these crazy stimulant drinks that are just so high in caffeine and high in sugar and crazy herbs that are really stimulant to the nervous system. It's not like that at all. It gives very sustained energy. And what I love is, while it powers the brain cells, it also has some theanine to calm the brain. So what we don't want, we want sharp, focused, directed concentration. We don't want like crazy hyperactive energy. So the theanine helps to calm the nervous system, but while these other nutrients are helping with focus and concentration and mental stamina as well as physical stamina. Axio is a powder. It comes in individual sachets, like I said, caffeinated or decaf. The decaf flavors are red raspberry and grapefruit. The caffeinated flavors are dragon fruit, sour cherry, and green grape. So it's personal preference. It's all sweetened with stevia. There is no sugar or artificial sweeteners in there. It's all sweetened by stevia. And so what I have seen in a lot of kiddos is a very nice result from doing the Nrf2 Synergizer with Axio. And oftentimes I'll start there and then I'll add in Nrf1 as a kind of next step. I have a lot of adult patients who are very interested in detoxification, whether it be through chronic illness. We've had some really interesting conversations with people about breast implants and breast implant illness, which is getting increasing media coverage and just acceptance and acknowledgement of being like a real thing. And it was really scary. There was an article in the Times paper in the UK just last week about a kind of immune system cancer that is linked to breast implants. And it's already caused several deaths, and over 600 cases have been reported worldwide. So the key with things like that is to help the body to detoxify on a cellular level. And that's true no matter what we're talking about, whether we're talking about, chronic infections like Lyme, whether we're talking about fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, what do those terms even mean? They don't really mean anything. They're descriptive terms. They're a diagnosis, but it's usually a catch-all diagnosis when the doctors don't know what's actually going on. And so fibromyalgia syndrome means I'm really tired and I hurt all over. Chronic fatigue syndrome means I'm really tired. And I don't mean to make light of that, but it's important that we recognize that these things are not diseases. They're syndromes. They're descriptions of a group of symptoms. So when I look at somebody's health, and I'm seeing this more and more as my years tick on by in natural medicine, the bottom line is the same. It's oxidative stress, it's inflammation, it's toxicity, it's mitochondrial damage, and increasingly now it's gut function issues and digestive issues. And so this is, I mean, I feel like we have the perfect solutions for these things. The Nrf2 being for the oxidative stress, the inflammation, opening up the detox pathways, couple it with the Nrf1 for mitochondrial repair. And then some people just do those two together. Like I said, I love the Axio because it's so good as an energizer and a tonic for the brain and the body. But we also do want to factor in probiotics and omega-3 fatty acids. So one of the things that I find the most simple, this is a very, very simplified way to get all of these things into your body on a day-to-day basis, is to do something called the Vitality Stack. And I actually think, do I have one here in my drawer? Yes, I do have one in my drawer. Okay, so this is simple, folks. This is the Vitality Stack. I have one on hand because I leave 3 or 4 of these in my desk drawer at work. I have a couple of them in my purse because sometimes I'm busy in the morning and sometimes I'm rushing out the door and sometimes I forget and sometimes life just happens. So the Vitality Stack, what's so powerful about it is you've got the Nrf1 and Nrf2 in the middle here. Over here we have omega-3 fatty acids. And all the omegas can be traced back to the actual boat the fish were caught from. I mean, they are so fresh and so accountable. So many essential fatty acid supplements or omega-3 supplements give you that very fishy taste. They give you weird burps afterwards. That means that they're kind of rancid. A really, really fresh product will not do that. So these omega-3s are amazing. And then the probiotics over here are little pearls. And they have a coating on them so that they don't break down in the stomach. They're not broken down by stomach acid. They get all the way through to the intestines, which is where they need to be to do their job. Okay, so we know now that toxicity influences gut flora. We know that inflammation in the gut influences gut flora. And we're just at the tip of the iceberg in recognizing how important what we call the microbiome is. We have more bacteria in our bodies than actual cells, which is a little creepy to think about, but it's just the way it is. And so what I love about the Vitality Stack is just how simple it is. 1 pack per day. Throw it in your purse if you're out and about. Take a few, if you're going away for a week, you take 7 packs. And that's just the most straightforward way to go about it. So what I do every day is the Vitality Stack without fail. This is very husband friendly. You can leave one of these out on the counter for your husband and it's very clear what he's going to do. So I have finally got my husband really compliant and consistent with supplements that I would like him to take for his high cholesterol and different things like that. And my kiddo is 5 and she takes one of these every day. I split the tablet in half for her and I only give her 1 capsule, but she's learned to swallow it all and she takes great pride in being able to do that and be accountable for her own health and what she's putting into her body as well. So, so that's about the overview. The other thing I would just mention, and beyond the scope of this conversation, but for all my animal lover friends out there, I just want to let you know how powerful this is in our animals. Horses can take the Nrf2. They take the same tablet as humans do, but because they metabolize things a lot quicker, the dose for our weight is still appropriate for them. And I've seen some amazing cases of horses coming back from lameness, different arthritic conditions, recovery from injuries, even illnesses like Cushing's and things like that. And then we also have something called pet tandem. So if the Nrf2 and Nrf1 are called pro tandem, Nrf2 synergizer, Pro Tandem Nrf1 Synergizer. We have Pet Tandem, which is perfect for dogs and cats and smaller animals. It's dosed, appropriately for them. And it comes in little chewable tablets. I have 2 dogs, and of course we're all on Nrf2 activation, but one of my dogs is super fussy. He will take it like it's the best treat ever. My other dog will eat anything, so he still thinks it's a great treat. But that's just something to be aware of. And if any of you watch this and are interested in the application, we actually have created a Facebook group related to Nrf2 activation in horses and pets. So you can always reach out to us, and we would love to get you plugged into that group so you can learn more for your animals as well. So that's about the overview. Let's see, logistics. If you're hearing this and you're like, yep, I know I want to do this, this is really important for me and my family, then you would go to a website. It's www.nicoladucharme.lifevantage.com. And we'll put that in the chat as well, just so you've got that link there that you can click. You can purchase Nrf2, Nrf1, Axio, even the ProBio. You can purchase everything all individually, but you can also purchase there the Vitality Stack if you choose to do that, and then just have everything in one place. You'll see the different kinds of Axio and the different flavors of Axio. And there are other things, other wonderful products as well, like a really clean, high-quality whey protein powder and a couple of other things. But what we're really focusing here is the Nrf2 Synergizer, the Nrf1 Synergizer, the Axio as individuals, and then rolling it all in together would be the Vitality Stack. So my favorite thing that I do every single day is my Vitality Stack and my Decaf Axio. And it's brilliant. And they're so easy for traveling too, because they are in those individual packets. The other thing I just want to mention, we are very, very passionate about this and the impact it can have on our loved ones, from me, on my patients. It's really been a game changer. I've seen some dramatic improvements in people's health. Trying to give you a couple of good examples. One example that comes to mind is an 11 and 12-year-old girls, they're sisters, and they're struggling along with Lyme disease and different co-infections. And they were having horrible hallucinations. And they were hearing whispers and seeing spiders crawling on them and seeing like monsters jumping out of mirrors. I mean, it was just awful and like obviously heartbreaking for their mom to watch that. I put them on Nrf2, Nrf1, and Axio, and within 2 weeks, all those hallucinations were gone. And so I see powerful testimonials, powerful stories like that all the time. I've also seen kids who have just had such dramatic improvements in their cognition, in their behavior, in their emotional regulation. So, and sometimes that happens in the first couple of weeks. To set a very realistic expectation, oftentimes it takes longer than that. I always say to my folks, give it 3 months. Think of this as a 3-month trial minimum. The other rule of thumb is give it 1 month for every decade you've been alive. So that just kind of says cellular damage doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to reverse itself overnight. So we just want to be realistic in kind of what we're expecting. I have found personally that the majority of people do feel benefit for sure within the first month. And Axio is a thing that really kind of, I feel like gives the best effect day by day. And then the Nrf1 and Nrf2 are healing on a very deep underlying basis. So whatever it is you're struggling with, this is really getting to the underlying cause, which is so crucial, and getting to those core elements that are so common in so many different health conditions. So like I said, I mean, I am very, very passionate about it. And so if you're somebody that is also passionate about health and wellness, and you know of other people in your lives that you would want to share this with, then reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. It's beyond the scope of our chat today. Excuse me. But I do want to just kind of open that door that I am now part of an amazing team of of healers and doctors and health practitioners and moms and brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts who are just very passionate about helping people. So if you see yourself in that category, by all means reach out. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And by all means, if you have any questions about the products, about how they work. The other note I just wanted to make, because I know some of our folks tonight are listening from other parts of the world. Not every product is available in every country. We do have Nrf1 and Nrf2 synergizers in a wide variety of countries, including the UK and Australia, which is, you know, where some of my folks are from. So you just want to make sure that when you go to the LifeVantage website, the link in the chat room here, there's a little flag in the top left corner. If you're not in the United States, just click on that flag and it will give you options for different markets and different countries. And you can just select your country and then the website will be appropriate for you. We'll show you the products, we'll show you the prices in your currency, and then the products would also be able to ship locally from that country. So I think that's all I have for you today. I am happy to open up and take any questions that you guys might have. I know there are a few people that couldn't actually be on at 5 o'clock, and so they're going to be listening to the recording. If that is you and you have questions, please reach out either through Facebook or through my email, whatever the case may be. But please do reach out. And do we have any questions? I'm just checking the chat box over here. Oh, I've done such a good job. We don't have any questions. I must have explained it really well. All right, folks. Well, yeah, like I said, be in touch. And I really just hope that you can incorporate this into your health regimen. I've seen it just make such a huge difference for such a wide variety of people. And so God bless you. Lots of love to you and your loved ones. And we will talk again soon. Good night.